we go.
And we are live on Facebook. Ok, buongiorno a tutti e buongiorno a tutte. Hello, good morning, happy Sunday morning to everybody. Erika Larsen ci sta raggiungendo in telematica da Florida, dagli Stati Uniti, dove è prestissimo, sono le 5 della mattina. It's 5 a.m. where Erika is calling us from. So thank you very much for being with us today from Florida.
Hi, nice to see everybody. How are you?
Stavamo parlando un po' prima di questa diretta di come siamo stati impattati tantissimo da queste... Hortz Joe, somebody says hi Erika, hope all is well on Instagram. So.
It's Ida. It's so fun. Hi, Ida.
And
it's my friend from Sweden.
Okay. Oh, so it's a good time for her. Good.
Yeah.
Ok, allora, perdonatemi un attimo, sarà un attimo più difficile per me passare italiano e inglese, però se avete domande, se avete commenti, per favore scriveteli su Instagram oppure su Facebook, io li leggo e posso fare le domande per voi, Erika. I will speak in Italian and in English, so if you're following this and you're an English speaker, don't worry, I'll always translate. You can write comments on or ask questions in Instagram or on Facebook. I can read them and I will pass them on to Erika for you. Ok, so Erika Larsen è una delle fotografe della prima edizione della Biennale Fotografia Femminile. Now, please correct me. Is it Quinnipiac? Do I say that? Quinnipiac. Okay.
But that's my version of it, right? And so actually, if you ask someone from Quinnipiac who speaks Yupik, they'll pronounce it a bit different. So
okay. Well,
that's the sort of English bastardized version of Quinnipiac.
Okay. Quinnipiac. Ha fotografato per 4 anni, adesso nel quinto, il paese di Quinnipiac in Alaska. So Erika Larsen is one of the photographers of the first edition of Biennale Female Photography, which was supposed to open March 5th. And her exhibition is of Quinnipiac, pictures taken over since 2015. But we can see more of that. I can actually slide through pictures instead of seeing us. People will see the pictures for a moment. Ricordo che su Instagram, se faccio vedere foto, voi non le potete vedere, ma ci sono su Facebook. Ok? Però comunque dopo c'è il video caricato su IGTV. Ok, so Erika Larsen is... Can we consider you a storyteller? Because I don't want to say travel photographer. I want to say a storyteller.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much. And sorry, also stop me if you have to translate at some point.
I will. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I would definitely say storyteller, and that became. I think it started for me around when I was around 21 or 22. It wasn't something that I easily I always considered myself a storyteller. I think around 21 or 22, I remember I was actually working on a story on hunters, and it started to become clear. I was like, oh, this is what I am. I'm a storyteller. It wasn't something that I just gave a name to myself, or I was like, that's exactly what I'm doing.
E dunque,
but it took a while.
È sempre stata una storyteller, cioè che racconta storie, non una fotografa di viaggio, che è diverso. Racconta storie, però verso 20-21 anni stava fotografando una caccia e si è accorta è esattamente quello che sono, non è un titolo che mi sono data, ma è quello che sono. Ok, how do you choose your stories? You've told a lot of stories in different places of the world. How do you choose them and how do you prepare for them? And how much is planned beforehand and how much do you kind of have to adapt along the way? Le ho chiesto come scegli le storie che vuoi raccontare e come si prepara e quanto pianifica prima di una storia e quanto deve modificare in corso.
So I think it can work. I think the thing about story is, I will say at the base level of it, right? The stories exist in our world, and that's the one thing. They're always there. And it can work in different ways. So maybe we'll talk first about my personal stories, because if I'm on assignment, somebody's given me those stories, so that's a little different.
Ok, hai detto che le storie nel mondo esistono, cioè ci sono ovunque, però prima parlerà delle sue storie personali per poi evolvere altri.
So for the stories that I'm choosing, or the personal stories, I would say the first thing is that the drive that I've had probably since I was around 6, it became really, the themes were starting to become clear for me. They were always driven by questions around life and death. So, and however that looks, I think life and death is probably the most basic. I think it's like our world question, the question we've had for since humans began to have time to be able to think about things. And not just survive. So they were always around life and death. And so when I was young, of course, that would be one way. And then, through my teenage years, and then through my 20s, 30s, and 40s, where I look at life and death has consistently changed.
Ok, allora hai detto che per le storie che sceglie lei, che non sono cose che le vengono assegnate, ma che cerca lei, dall'età giovane, da 6 a 7 anni, si è sempre fatta domande sulla vita e la morte, perché la vita e la morte è la domanda per essenza che l'umanità si fa da sempre e si è data una miriade di risposte. Dunque, e poi anche lei le risposte che si è data quando era adolescente, 20 anni, 30 anni, 40 anni, sono cambiate nel tempo.
And then so most, probably for quite a while, these, so again, the themes of life and death are always coming up. And then I kind of add in our relationship to the natural world within that. And so I think for the past 20 years, I've probably more intently focused on how we view that in our relationship to what is nature. Of course, first assuming nature is us and we are nature, but then how does that relate more to how do we interact with our environment? How do we learn to communicate, different ways of communicating, then looking at spirituality, ritual, even looking at physics, mathematics, and how all of these things, just the general makeup of the universe. So those are where the stories come from.
Che quando si parte dalle domande che riguardano vita e morte, ci si interroga poi anche, specialmente lei, sulla natura. Dunque, come quelle cose sono collegate al nostro mondo, che considerando che noi siamo natura siamo noi, e come queste cose si incontrano, si intersecano, ma poi vanno a coinvolgere tante altre cose, che sono la matematica, la fisica, tutta una serie di collegamenti che cerca di fare con questa idea di la vita e la morte legata a noi e alla natura come un uno. Ok. I got through that. So what about preparation beforehand? Like, do you study a lot? Do you read up on a lot of history beforehand? How do you do that? What is your plan?
I think first, so honestly, the first thing would be
le ho chiesto come si prepara prima, se studia, se va a studiare la storia, eccetera.
So the first would be, it first comes definitely from this intuition inside of me. And then, it can be, I can do some reading, maybe just a lot of visual intake. So maybe I'm looking at other artwork, that's, especially if I'm going to work specifically in a certain region, where there's maybe like a cultural group of people that I'm looking forward to learning from. So then I'll do, maybe the history of that culture. But one of the more important things is how they have expressed themselves through their own art. And then I get very involved or interested in language, like our verbal language. So how do we begin to how do we communicate this world?
Che
I would say, sorry, oh yeah.
Che la preparazione parte dall'intuizione che ha già dentro, che ha lei, però poi sì, va a fare della ricerca, ma soprattutto va anche molta ricerca visiva. Se va in una particolare regione, magari c'è qual è l'approccio visivo, l'arte di quella regione e anche il linguaggio, cioè come ci esprimiamo attraverso parole. Yeah.
But the other thing but it's important for me is that, but I also don't think I over research.
Okay.
And for myself, and I think it's really important to notice because, when I go, especially the places I'm going, if I have so much information, I tend to show up maybe not asking the same amount of questions or thinking that I've seen that before, so I understand why that ritual looks that way. And then all of a sudden you realize, well, that's just what I read in a book, or it's what I interpreted that. So I think I leave a fair amount of not knowing in my research, so that whoever becomes my guides in the areas that I'm doing the work, I feel like I really want to enter like a 5-year-old in that regard, and let them show me, but have enough knowledge to reference what they're telling me about, but have not enough knowledge that I learn it from the experience and not necessarily from the research.
Right. So it leaves you that space for wonder. To look at what you're learning in awe, because I think we really need that also to be inspired by the beauty that we have in front of us.
Yeah, and to not block us.
Yeah.
You know?
and not to create a path beforehand and be open to what we don't know, because we really don't know a lot of stuff that we go into. Dice che la preparazione prima la fa, però non studia troppo. Studia abbastanza per avere riferimenti, per sapere di quello di cui parlano le sue guide del luogo, però non troppo, perché se no fa meno domande. Vuole avere una certa zona di non preparazione per avere quello spazio della meraviglia, del cercare, di essere aperta a quello che trova sul luogo, perché se no entra pensando già di sapere tutto. We do have a question. Let's see what it says here. What was the most difficult thing you had to do to understand the local knowledge of the area?
Well, I think so I guess what we're we're specifically talking about Alaska.
I don't know that they specified Alaska. I think probably just in general, what was maybe a difficult time that you remember of trying to understand a local culture.
Yeah, I mean, I think that depends.
Scusa, traduco la domanda. Qual è stata la cosa più difficile che ha dovuto fare per capire la cultura locale di un posto?
So I don't think it's one general thing, because every culture is different. So I think and that's sort of for me, that's really the main point of storytelling, is that when you do it as a personal reflection as well, is every situation you go into makes you face something difficult, but it's a different difficulty each time. And it's really important, because if every story had the same difficulty, then I think I have the same lesson to learn over and over and over. But each place is a different difficulty. I just want to say that first, and then I can maybe give an example of some of those.
Ok, e in generale, cioè, tutti i luoghi hanno le loro difficoltà diverse, perché e ci sono difficoltà ovunque, però meno male che non è la stessa difficoltà ovunque, perché sennò si farebbe sempre le stesse domande. Yeah, if you do have anything specific, maybe.
So I would say, I'm thinking, if I think of some of the general ones that could come up, this might be the most difficult. As clear for me in my role that I am a storyteller, I think it's also the most difficult thing to explain when I show up, when people ask, what are you doing here? Of course I can tell them I'm telling a story, but like the clarity in that, to really try to explain to people, why am I here? Why do I want to learn about this? Who am I to do it? Why should I be collecting parts of this knowledge and even sort of exist in this space? I think that's the hardest. That's probably the most difficult thing to do. And I think that takes the duration of the story to come to clarity on.
Do you find that some people, when don't understand about themselves, like, why do you think we're important? Like, because for them maybe it's like just their normal life, it's day-to-day, daily routine, whatever they're doing, and for someone to come and tell the story of something that they think is special, and I wonder if anybody has any difficulty seeing their own, how special every story is.
Yeah, I think the questions come in. Oh, sorry, did you want to translate that?
Yeah, let me translate all that first. Got carried away on my own questions.
No.
Ha detto che la cosa più in particolare, una difficoltà che c'è spesso, è che quando arriva a un posto e le chiedono perché sei qui, certamente può rispondere sono qui per raccontare una storia, però veramente spiegare perché è lì, perché ci fa lì, perché in quel posto, in quel luogo, in quel tempo, quello diventa più difficile, fare capire veramente questo intento. Io le ho chiesto se trova che c'è una difficoltà da parte delle persone capire, perché per loro magari è vita normale di tutti i giorni e lei va specificamente lì a raccontare la loro storia. Se qualcuno ha mai avuto difficoltà a capire perché è speciale, come è speciale in verità ogni cultura, popolazione. Yeah.
So I think two things. Yes, I think in not all people, but I think some people, well, I should say this. I think everybody at some core of them understands the value of their story, because I think it's, again, I think in general, we are part of a huge collective story. And so therefore there is a part of us that values that because, well, we continue to live. So I think that's a really base layer, is that I do. But then within that, yes, I've gotten that many times, like, okay, this is something I do. I've done this every day for 60 years. Like, I've skinned this fish, or I've cooked in this way. And I don't see that as something unique because I do it all the time. And so, wow, you think, or maybe it's not that people don't see it unique, but maybe they don't see a beauty beyond that, where it warrants somebody being there for 4 years to look at it or something. But then the last thing I'll say, but then I also do think, especially with people that live maybe in, but within that, I do think that many of the places that I'm working do realize that they have a certain knowledge that's unique to who they are, to their landscape in the world. And I do think they know it's special. And then the flip side of that is, okay, but who do I want to share that with? Not to share it, but to translate that out, right? Like, why, it's like an agreement to translate this out, with me in this specific case. Like, okay, am I going to share this with you? Not because just you're going to sit and have a cup of coffee and share it, but therefore we're going to tell a story together. So I'm going to trust that we're going to translate this together. And I think that becomes another layer of the question.
Che pensa che dentro ognuno pensa che nel profondo sanno che ogni persona, ogni storia ha un valore. Però sì, può capitare che alcuni trovano questa difficoltà perché questa è una cosa che tu stai fotografando, raccontando, che io faccio tutti i giorni da 60 anni, e diventa più difficile per loro vedere la bellezza che succede in questa cosa, perché magari sono lì che la stessa cosa che cucino, che non lo trovano niente di eccezionale, invece fa parte, quello che fotografa fa parte di una storia. Poi diventa anche una questione di quello che le persone decidono di raccontare. Ok, io e te stiamo raccontando una storia insieme, che cos'è che voglio far vedere, che cos'è, e c'è anche una questione di fiducia. Io mi affido a te, ho fiducia in te che tu racconti e traduci bene quello che io vivo, quello che io faccio per le altre persone. Però la maggior parte delle persone che va a fotografare si rendono conto che gli appartiene o appartengono a una storia che è molto interessante e particolare, soprattutto nel mondo. Can you drink water?
I'm drinking coffee, so coffee time here.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those already. Do you just wake up every morning so early?
No, but if I want to get anything done in the new at home, I try to get up early to get it done, because otherwise then I end up doing dishes or other things. So this is the time where I can get things done and not have to have any distractions.
Any distraction, that's your time. Le ho chiesto se si sveglia sempre così presto e ho detto no, però se voglio concludere delle cose mi sveglio così presto, perché sennò continuo faccio altre cose nella casa, mi distraggo. Let's talk about bonding with the people, and like creating a bond with the people in photograph is essential to the story because it's their story. Does this come naturally to you, and have you ever had difficulties with people? What is your approach? Now you mentioned guides earlier, so I imagine you have somebody that introduces you to the community, maybe?
Well, yeah, but
le ho chiesto com'è il suo approccio con le persone, perché creare una relazione con le persone che fotografa è essenziale per raccontare la loro storia. Dunque, se le viene naturalmente questa cosa, se ci sono difficoltà, e prima aveva menzionato anche delle guide che magari la introducono, che se la introducono alla comunità.
So this is, again, I'm afraid all the questions will have several folded answers, but so the thing with guides,
we can get distracted and talk about more frivolous things for a while if you want.
No, it's perfect. It's great. The thing with guides, so guides for me, it's really important, but they're multi-layered. So I actually want to relate this to Italy because I think the first time I really actually, I want to say, okay, first, maybe I could say this way, is that I think every story has a guide. Mm-hmm. And that's the most important thing. And I don't mean like someone who takes you necessarily into a community. That can be one form of a guide. But I think we can't tell stories without guides. So, and what I mean is that, and that guide could be something very much inside of us. But in general, I think storytelling in general is there's something that guides us all the time. So that's, I don't know.
Let me translate that. That's a core thing. Che in tutte le storie che si raccontano c'è una guida, che può essere una persona fisica che ti introduce alla comunità, questa è una forma, però può essere anche qualcosa dentro di noi. Ogni storia ha una guida, ha qualcosa, una forza che trasporta a raccontare quella storia.
And the next thing I'll say is I actually think this realization that we need something else to, I want to say augment our storytelling, because it's always within us. But I think this, or at least for me, I should say, this recognition that I needed something else to augment and to guide. I was in Italy, probably, how old was I? I mean, I was in my early 20s, so I'm over 20 years ago now, maybe. But maybe 20 years ago, or a little less. And I was outside of Florence, and a friend of mine that I had known from New York, I was visiting, and I remember we were sitting, the Pinocchio Gardens?
I've never been, actually, but yes, I know about them.
Yeah. We were sitting there, and I remember him saying to me, he's like, all you need for what you do is guides. it was just this realization. I don't even think he thought about how profound that statement would be for the rest of my life. And he's like, you don't really need much else in terms of what you're doing. He's like, you just need the guide to take you there. And that hit me so hard, that how important guides for my storytelling would be. And they would not, maybe, those would come in all different shapes and sizes and in ways. But from that moment on, it became clear that was like, it was like this link to doing what I'm doing. And so therefore I always honor that in whatever way they are. But again, it's not always like a fixer, or people call it going into a community. It's just, that's one way.
That's
but
one
guides
way,
are to be,
That's beautiful. And it happened here in Italy. Che la realizzazione cioè l'epifania di questa cosa di avere una guida è successo proprio in Italia. Appena fuori Firenze, era ai giardini di Pinocchio, mi ha detto, con un amico di New York, e aveva questo 20 anni fa, aveva 20 anni e poco più. E ero con il suo amico di New York che gli diceva: guarda che non serve molte altre cose, ti serve la guida, cioè la guida che ti porta a raccontare questa storia. E ha capito, cioè, che quello è l'essenziale, che poi una guida può essere in tantissime forme. Può essere, non deve essere specificamente una persona che ti introduce in una comunità, può essere, una guida può essere presentata in tanti modi. Però da quel momento ha capito molto bene, se l'è sempre portata con sé questa cosa, che per raccontare una storia serve questa guida, in qualsiasi forma serve per quella storia.
Yeah, and so again, one thing I would say, maybe the answers I'm giving seem really, really broad, but I often go back to the really broad, like the broad interpretation of the answer, because sometimes we forget, like, it's that simple. Like, it's really that simple. Like, it's like, I don't have it's like I really mean, it's like I could give you a really specific answer, but actually it's just remembering that the answer is really that simple for all of us. Like, oh, but of course we would need a guide. But sometimes we forget that and we make it way more complicated. If we just open ourselves up to the idea of like, wait, if we just found a guide, maybe that takes to the next step. And therefore the story already exists. We don't need to create it. We just need to live it. And it's just letting the first person take our hand to help us to live it. And so when my answers seem very broad, I think it's my own remembering that it's something simplistic that we already know, but we always have to remind ourselves. So,
che le risposte possono sembrare molto grandi, anche forse un po' vaghe, però sono veramente così semplici, cioè la risposta è semplice. Dobbiamo ricordare a noi stessi che c'è una semplicità in questo, che sì, serve una guida che ci porta al primo passo e ci porta, ci fa iniziare questo, però a volte ci dimentichiamo di questa semplicità. What did you say on the second part?
Just that
word is slipping me.
The idea that, when people always ask me because I think the main question was, how do you really begin to tell these stories? And it's as simple as that, for me, it's important for me to always remember that the stories
exist, we need to live them. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, we just have to remember to live them.
Che queste storie esistono da sole, però dobbiamo ricordarci di viverle per raccontarle, non dobbiamo inventarle, dobbiamo viverle, e questo attraverso l'inizio, qualcuno che ti porta, che può essere fisico o non, per mano in questa cosa.
Awesome.
I like that. It is. Sometimes when we overthink things, it doesn't, we don't get through it. So how did you start photographing? Has this always been a part of you, or did you just discover it one day? Were you bored? E le ho chiesto come ha iniziato a fotografare, se è sempre stata parte di lei, cosa ha fatto per iniziare.
So I think photography, there's a really clear path for me photographically. So when I was about, I don't know how old, but young, like maybe 10 or 11 or something like this. So my father had been one of the people working on the Hubble Space Telescope. And so he was bringing back pretty early pictures. And again, I don't remember exact age. Memory is always a bit funny, but I remember bringing back some of the early pictures of like Saturn and Jupiter. And I remember like physically he would bring them home so I could physically like hold the picture in my hand. And that was like this click, more than a click of seeing like my family archive, which came later or things like this, but holding a planet in my hand, thinking to myself, whoa, wait a second. How can I physically hold something that's so far away? But when I was holding it in the photographic form, I thought, but this is also me. This is just holding me as well. Like this is a part of me. And so I related that relation that I was holding something so far that was actually me, but physically a moment of physically holding it, I related that to just photography. And I said, and so therefore photography must be magic. So also we can stop time, we can travel into space, we can also travel within ourselves and realize that everything's connected. And I thought if photography can do that, I want to be a part of that magic like the rest of my life.
Magic.
So that was
che bello. Quando aveva 10-11 anni, suo padre lavorava sul il telescopio Hubble, e dunque portava a casa le prime fotografie dei pianeti e le ha date in mano, e dunque lei aveva in mano queste fotografie dello spazio, dei pianeti. E lì ha pensato, ma aspetta, cioè sto tenendo fisicamente in mano, nella forma fotografica, qualcosa che è lontanissimo da me, però è qui, però quella cosa sono anche io, e lo sto tenendo come fotografia, e questo significa che la fotografia è magia pura. E non solo si può raccontare di qualcosa di lontano, significa che siamo tutti collegati, è tutto uno. Dunque io posso raccontare cose lontane, ma anche posso andare a raccontare cose dentro da me stessa che sono collegate a fuori, e tutto questo è magico perché la fotografia coinvolge tutto questo. E ha detto, se questo per lei era fotografia, e lei ha detto, voglio farne parte di questa magia. Holding a planet, magic photography. Alessandro Mazzola, he asks us, what is the reaction when you are showing your stories to local folks? Do they recognize themselves? I am always questioning myself if I have been able to catch the essence of what I am looking for when telling stories.
So I don't. Well,
let me translate first.
Yeah, of course.
Qual è la reazione che hanno le persone locali quando fai vedere le tue foto, se si riconoscono? Perché si domanda sempre se è stato capace, Alessandro Mazzola, se è stato capace di raccogliere l'essenza di quello che sta cercando.
So I think this, like, again, I don't mean to be broad in the answer, but I think one thing we forget is that these reactions, like this is nothing new for people. We're constantly, every single day of our lives, being seen through the eyes of other people. So I think this is a skill that we're born with, right? To react and to have some relation to how someone outside of ourselves sees us. We're doing it all the time. Not necessarily when someone's bringing us a photograph, but just by you right now, we are constantly reading subtle cues of how we're reacting to each other. So I think that the entire world is everything that comes in your contact is a mirror of this reaction. So I think when somebody comes with photographs, this is just another, I don't actually think it's that big of a thing, how they're reacting to it, right? I think I don't mean it to be like facetious or even to like put the question out. I just mean it as a real symbol. It's just, this is just another form of a daily experience of how people interact with a reflection of themselves. So I think, so I've never really overly thought for that. So in my answer also is that everybody reacts differently to that. Some people are like, oh my gosh, I love this picture. Some people take the picture, put it in a box, and maybe I never know. Or some people make it their Facebook profile. I mean, it's all different reactions, but I think that that's pretty standard, right? We're doing that all the time.
Yeah. I feel it's well, and especially with the amount of images that we have nowadays, sure. Che è sempre un reagire alle nostre immagini è uno skill a cui siamo ben abituati. Lo facciamo costantemente, anche solo questa chiacchierata stiamo reagendo a una comunicazione, a un racconto dell'altro. E questo è anche, non per essere comunque generale, ma lo facciamo sempre in realtà, e non ha mai pensato troppo a quale fosse la loro reazione, perché sono sempre tutti diversi. Cioè, magari uno fa il suo profilo di Facebook, l'altro lo mette in un cassetto e non lo guarda più, un altro è entusiasta. E questa cosa è che lo facciamo in continuazione. Siamo ben abituati. Francesco Blue Ocean Scarpino says, hi Erika, it will be nice to meet you again in Reggio Calabria for the Blue Oceans workshop.
I can't wait to come back. When we can all travel again, it will be really a pleasure.
Oh goodness, can't wait. For any reason, have you ever refused to take a picture that was meant to be taken? I mean, something that stopped you at the last minute.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Do you need to se qualche volta ha rifiutato di fare una fotografia che doveva essere fatta, se qualcosa l'ha fermata all'ultimo minuto.
Yeah, specifically, and I have one specific moment. This is quite a long time ago, maybe at least 15 years ago. I was working on this story on a young girl, maybe she was 15, and she had taken her own life. And the family invited me in to tell the story, and they were doing it as a way. The reason they wanted to tell this story is it was outreach to other young people's families in that age, to maybe hope that they wouldn't take this measure, right, of taking their own life. So that's why they agreed to do the story. Anyways, so I had gone in and I spent, I think it was like 6 hours with the family, which doesn't seem very long, but when 6 hours, when you're just focusing on searching for their daughter in the 6 hours in the home and through their memories and through the physical manifestations, her room and all these things, it felt like a lifetime. And anyway, we went, the father at one point, like really it was the time like he was willing to take me into the bedroom, and he like opened the door and he sat on the bed, and she had this like thing on the door handle, and it was like a gift, like something in paper mache. It was like a gift that her, maybe his mother had given her as when she was born, given the family. And so I photographed that. I remember taking that picture, and then I remember the father sitting on the bed, and he like took it and he was holding it, and he just like started crying and crying. And I thought, like, this journalistic part thinks, oh, is that the story? The father crying when he's holding this memory of her. And then I realized, like, no, that's not, that moment is only his moment. This isn't my moment. This isn't the picture. This isn't, like, it's his moment. And I remember just putting the camera down and sitting down. And that was for me, I don't know why, but it's just a choice. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe that was an important moment. But in that moment, I decided it wasn't like, it was like the feeling he had didn't belong to everybody then. I could interpret that feeling through everything else, but you didn't have to show it. So I don't know. I just felt it was something private, and therefore the camera would only dilute maybe the sensation he was having, and I think the sensation was more important that he have it than for me to photograph it. So.
Oh, hugs. Allora, sì, mamma mia che storia. Allora, circa 15 anni fa, where was this?
This was in the US, in maybe, gosh, I should remember if it was New York or New Jersey, but
US.
somewhere in the US, but it was
Somewhere.
like 15 years ago. It was a long time ago.
Circa 15 anni fa negli Stati Uniti stavo raccontando la storia di questa ragazza quindicenne che si era suicidata. È andata dalla famiglia e ha passato 6 ore intense con questa famiglia che possono sembrare poche per una storia, però quando sono 6 ore totalmente cariche, cioè estremamente cariche, e cercando la figlia in tutto quel tempo attraverso le memorie, le storie, le cose, gli spazi, le è sembrato veramente una vita intera, tantissimo tempo. E poi il padre l'ha portata e la famiglia aveva deciso di raccontare questa storia perché credeva potesse essere una storia da far conoscere ad altri giovani in modo che evitassero anche loro di commettere suicidio. Allora il padre la porta di sopra alla camera della figlia e sulla porta c'era questo regalo che era stato fatto alla famiglia quando era nata, fatto di cartapesta, e l'ha fotografato, era appeso lì alla porta. E poi c'è stato un momento in cui il padre aveva in mano questo regalo seduto sul letto della figlia e ha cominciato a lacrimare, a piangere tantissimo in questo momento, con in mano questo regalo che era della figlia, quindi della sua nascita. La parte giornalistica dice forse questa è la storia, questo è il momento, questo è dove si raccoglie tutto, e l'altra invece si è rifiutata perché non era di altri, quel momento era del padre, non era per la storia, magari forse sì, poteva esserlo, però Erika non pensava che la traduzione di quel momento, di quei sentimenti, poteva essere fatto. Dunque i sentimenti era più giusto che li avesse lui e che non facessero parte che non apparteneva ad altri. Quel momento non era di altri, era suo.
I want to the reason why, because I think I just want to explain one more thing about it. The reason why, really like a brief, is because too, like some people could say that's the moment, right? So everyone can understand that expression. But when I look at storytelling in general, like I think about like the original idea of storytelling, like from like 10,000 years ago, how the original shaman was storyteller. So storytelling is, like I said, that's where you take the journalistic part. Like, okay, people can understand that emotion, but I don't think storytelling is always for the interpretation. Like, I think one of the original parts of storytelling was for healing or for, well, anyways, for many things, right? Like, and so I think, and I look at it as that sort of holistic practice as well. So it was maybe the moment in terms of, okay, does that picture go into a magazine and help other people understand his pain? Perhaps the picture could have done that. I don't know. But the important thing is that's not the part of storytelling I was even thinking about. I was thinking about the collective part of storytelling, that in that point, I think that was a moment perhaps he hadn't had necessarily, and that's what I noticed. I'm not sure, but I think it was. So therefore, and maybe that was a moment that just for me to step back. And that's the part. So I think storytelling exists on so many levels. And that's where the photography part, sometimes that part wasn't important. There's other collective aspects of storytelling in terms of healing and all these other things that start to happen. And I try to be cognizant of that.
Che raccontare storie si fa su tantissimi livelli, cioè succede in tanti modi diversi e per tante ragioni, anche per guarire, per tramandare tantissime cose, fin da quando esiste il raccontare storie. E però forse si sbaglia, forse no, però a quel momento le sembrava che magari non l'avesse ancora avuto suo padre e dunque che quando si tratta di raccontare è giusto che gli altri debbano essere nella posizione di capire anche, e dunque se un pezzo tanto potente, cioè che potrebbe essere potentissimo, magari non è inserito in un modo che sia comprensibile, perché la storia serve anche al collettivo a cui va, perché viene dato in mano alla popolazione. Oh goodness, you are so popular with the questions here. Let me get a few of them back. We have a lot of questions of our own too, though. Okay. Thank you for that story, Erika. Gets right to the core. Brr. Okay. Let's talk about your work. You've published a few books. You are a National Geographic photographer, so let's talk about where your work ends up. Besides the magazine publications and the books you do, the exhibitions. Do people collect your work? Are there any collectors that say, "Hey, I just want to buy your photo and hang it up on my wall"? Ho chiesto dove finiscono le sue fotografie, perché fotografando per National Geographic, per esempio, ci sono tanti editoriali, tante storie stampate nei magazine e anche le mostre che ha pubblicato alcuni libri, ma se c'è qualcuno che semplicemente ha comprato una sua foto per appenderlo in casa.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think I have a huge following of people buying my work in that regard, but there are some that do. And again, I look at all these things, like for me, I always go back to, it's like storytelling is a collection of a whole lot of different small things together. So I actually find that all of the outlets are really important, from the magazines to books to I think someone even asked something about Instagram. So all, like, putting things on Instagram, a collector buying my work. I have a strong belief in all of these little parts making up the whole. So I don't think I have tons of followers like buying my work, but I think there are a handful that do, or just one person that's bought one photograph. And I think that was important for a reason, for whatever minute, like that moment was meant to be solidified and exist with them in that moment. And I am a big believer also in at this time, and that could change, but right now, if you ask me, like, there's something about the physical printing of a photograph. Again, I think, existing in the digital is extremely important as well. But I think that physical printing of a photograph, when you do it and somebody chooses to collect it, like when I chose to have that moment with the picture of Saturn, that changed everything for me. So I don't know if one person buys a picture and they kind of, it's printed and they're holding it. I don't know what the reason is, but I know that there's some reason for it. And I think it's not again. And then a really important thing about photographs is, how should I say, like, yes, there's a part of it that's me, of course, because I was there, I was telling the story, but I think it's really important to realize that the photograph at a certain point then takes a life of its own. Okay. I'm not saying I don't care about me as the copyright, but I don't even know how important it is for me to sign a picture or any of things like that. Like, it's that the picture, like that, whatever form that is, and if it's a printed form, it takes this life of its own, and not just is meant to live where it's going to live until it doesn't anymore. Or maybe it goes on for 500 years, or maybe it burns tomorrow. I don't know. But I don't think that's important. But I do think if there's a manifestation of it and somebody takes it for a moment, it takes this other life form. So these things are important to me, but only so important to me. But then they're really important. I don't mean to be vague.
Let me rewind that in my brain. It's okay. Allora, che non crede di avere così tanta gente che la segue e compra le sue fotografie, magari alcuni sì, però quello che è importante, cioè una fotografia poi prende una vita sua, ok? Però se una fotografia stampata esiste per una persona, la stampa esiste per un motivo, per quella persona, fa parte di quella persona in quel momento. Poi può essere che va in una mostra, può essere bruciata, può essere tante cose, e non le importa così tanto cosa succede dopo, non trova neanche quanto sia importante mettere la sua firma sulle foto. Come anche per esempio tenere la fotografia di Saturno, per lei era un momento importante, cioè tenere la fisicità di una fotografia esiste per vari motivi per le persone. E essere digitali, la presenza digitale è certamente importante, e dunque in un certo senso è importante ma poi non è più importante, dice. Dunque perché ovviamente c'è una parte di lei, perché lei era lì, raccontava la storia, però poi può diventare qualcos'altro in verità. Wow, we've been talking for a while. Let's group it together a bunch of things. We were talking before we started the live. We were talking about how storytelling for you is kind of put off for a while. Like, what are you doing now at home? Do you just take pictures? Do you tell about the story of your living room? What's going on? Le ho chiesto cosa sta facendo adesso perché ovviamente viaggiando per raccontare storie, adesso per mesi non vede come potrà farlo, dunque cosa racconta adesso?
So I've taken this, it's interesting, and this comes with my own, how should I say, like, I have, as clear as I can be sometimes about the way that, I kind of, how should I say? So yeah, I think in the beginning when we started the quarantine and being in our home and, everything that I had going on sort of literally stopped like 24 hours, all the things that I had planned going on, right? But then you realize what's going to be is going to be. So, but I sort of, there's this part of me that, the need to, express myself or to feel that I should be expressing myself in an outward form. I think I battled with that because, you're on Instagram, or I'm also interested in communicating. I find communicating really important. So I'm seeing people that mean something to me communicating. So do I want to communicate back? It's very interesting, but I mean it. Like I would see people that people that are friends that build up the important parts of how I reflect the world. They're communicating through Instagram or through calling or whatever. So therefore, you have this need as a human to communicate back. But I would say when I really looked deep, I found that this isn't so natural for me right now at all. And so I find myself, the real natural form is not to pick up my camera at all. And so I find myself doing more of an internal, it's like, it's more of a really internal reflection. I call it like liminal space. So I'm really taking this idea of liminal space and trying to reflect internally what that means. So I'm taking in information, maybe I'm taking in some information internally. I'm doing a lot of reading. And luckily, I'm also taking care of my son, taking care of the daily things that have to be done. But I'm not, I actually found that I'm less and less engaging with the outside world. And that feels, and when I say less engaging, it doesn't mean I'm not taking in the outside world. It just means that I'm not really communicating back that much.
Okay. I Googled how to translate luminal in Italian.
Space, yeah.
Let's see where it says luminale. Okay, it's the same. Cioè nel giro di 24 ore si è vista cancellare, annullare quello che era stato programmato per mesi e mesi e mesi a venire. Dunque poi vabbè, si accetta, ci si adatta, sarà così, però si accorge che e la comunicazione per lei è molto importante, dunque ci sono persone che comunicano con lei, è importante ricambiare la comunicazione, non solo con amici, con il mondo, eccetera. Però è una situazione molto poco naturale per lei, cioè non è proprio il suo elemento. Dunque la sua risposta è di non prendere in mano la sua macchina fotografica, di non fargli lasciarlo lì, ha altre cose, ha suo figlio, ha altre cose da fare, e dunque sta comunicando di meno, ok? Di conseguenza a questo, perché il suo modo di comunicare è quello che non riesce a completare in questo momento, dunque c'è una certa chiusura a causa di questo. And we have 5 minutes left. So and that was wonderful. Let me just check if there's any hellos, last minute things. No. Okay. We really hope we can get things back moving as the whole culture world does. And thank you so much for being a part of this, because what we're trying to do is communicate with the world, because it's important for people like the fans of the Biennale were very, very supportive in all of this, and the feedback for this is these interviews make people really happy. So thank you very So thank you very, very much. Stavo ringraziando perché è importante comunicare queste interviste che stiamo facendo per la Biennale, piacciono molto, è il nostro modo di comunicare quello che non abbiamo potuto fare fisicamente. Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to get you, I'm going to close the lives now.
Okay.
No, sorry, I'm going to close Skype, and then I'm just going to go through all the websites and everything, and ericalarsen.com, blah, 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 and all the information. But then I will be right back with you on Skype.
Okay.
Not live. I just don't want to have you sit there while I go, remember that you can see her interview, blah, 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 blah.
Okay. No problem.
So everybody wave to Erika. Thank you very much.
You. Hi, Tina. Andre, wow, there's people.
Oh, good. Okay, I will be right back to you. Ciao.
Okay. Ciao.
Ok, allora, grazie a tutti che ci avete seguito, eccoci qua. Vi ricordo che il prossimo appuntamento è il 23 maggio con Nausicaa Giulia Bianchi alle 17 del pomeriggio. Questo video lo potete trovare sia su IGTV dopo e anche sul nostro canale YouTube. Dunque, siccome è stato molto interessante, con un sacco di cose veramente profonde, perché ricordiamoci che la fotografia non è solo il rullino che usi, la macchina che usi, ovviamente no, sono veramente questi pezzi di vita che ci raccolgono, appunto, di come parlava della meraviglia, della magia, di tutte queste cose la fotografia che veramente unisce tutto e unisce tutti. E dunque potete condividere. C'è un'intervista scritta da Silvia Criara, la nostra resident journalist, sul nostro sito www.bffmantova.com. Dietro le quinte, la Papessa, che è l'associazione che organizza la Biennale, non posso svelarvi tante cose ancora, però noi stiamo lavorando tantissimo, ok? Sappiamo che non abbiamo aperto il 5 marzo, ma stiamo lavorando quasi, non dico a pieno regime delle prime 2 settimane prima del 5 marzo, ma comunque stiamo preparando tante belle cose per quest'anno e l'anno off, dunque seguiteci tutti. Andate a mettere un bel like sulla pagina di La Papessa su Facebook, tanti l'avete già fatto, ma quello share to IGTV, ok, guardate. Vi ricordo il catalogo di eMuse, ok? Può essere ancora acquistato, è storico perché ha le date non successe a causa del Covid, dunque è un pezzo di storia, e naturalmente la maglietta potete scrivere a infobffmantova.com per avere la vostra. Io passo e chiudo, grazie a tutti, ci vediamo, ciao.